Welcome back, everyone. I'm your host, Lila Eunice, and this is the Film of My Podcast, a podcast dedicated to those willing to reach their high potential selves, open to wisdom and knowledge, wanting the highest quality of life, and all talk, self-improvement, mental health, and mindset growth. In this podcast, I aim to deliver a message that will help you, motivate you, and one day make you successful. With no further means, let's take a listen to this week's podcast episode. As you can see, I didn't post last week's podcast episode. It was going to be this topic, but I delayed it. I had to take some time alone. Not just that. I was fasting. Incredible, but I messed up my fasting really bad. Like, I didn't eat for 5 days, but then I ate something that I shouldn't have, I felt the worst. So I couldn't even record a podcast episode or anything. I was feeling sick. So I didn't even record or anything or have anything uploaded or ready for y'all. So I didn't do that. But I am back on track, giving y'all the content that y'all have been waiting for. It's crazy because I went viral on Instagram. I'm just going to say this because I am so beyond grateful. Like, I can't believe it. Like, I'm receiving so much support. And it just overwhelms my heart. I'm like, oh, y'all are so sweet. Like, in the beginning of the process, I was like, oh my gosh, like, people are gonna judge me. They're probably just gonna catch on to the words that I don't say correctly. Just seeing your responses and the fact that y'all want more of my content, it makes me feel so happy. Like, I always pray to God, like, thank you, God, like, bless their hearts, like, oh, I love them. And a lot of my friends have been literally texting me, and they were saying, oh, girl, I'm so proud of you, like, you're showing the progress. And I'm like, yes, thank you. And within that, I also got a mentor. I love my mentor too. One day I'm gonna have her on my podcast episodes. Watch. Let me interrupt my podcast episode with my weekly newsletter. Now, sign up in the link on bio, in which you scroll down, you get to see that you can add your name and your email, and that's all you have to do to sign up for the weekly newsletter. Now, the newsletter is going to be based on the content that I am producing for the podcast episodes, or it's going to be something that's happening in the week or a guide for you to take a look at. So make sure that if you really want to have exclusive updates by me, then you can go ahead and sign up for the newsletter. Now, I have such an important project that's gonna happen very soon. I'm talking with my mentor about it, and I'm so excited to publish it out since I'm receiving so much feedback and a lot of people want one-on-one support. I am gonna be offering mentoring soon. Sign up for the email. You might get a discount, you might not, you might receive something better. So whatever it is, make sure you don't miss out on it. So sign up. Resuming to the podcast episode, I am so excited but kind of just making sure I know not to revel in my words, because today I'm going to be talking about purity and a clean life. Now, in our generation, we have twisted the idea or the concept of purity. I've seen this a lot, that we have normalized sexual immorality in our generation. We have normalized wanting or desiring youthful passions, and we have yet acquired a life that's clean. We are destined to live clean lives. Now, I feel like I have changed a lot when I got closer to God, but not just that, living in a life that's clean, living in a life that there's no filthiness or dirtiness in my life. And if there is, or if there's spots in my life that are dirty, like, it kind of ravels me up. I'm like, oh, I don't like this. So I really wanted to talk about purity and living a clean life today. I'm going to be talking about how to live, or what it means to live a clean life, the importance and its morals. I'm going to be talking about clean mind, soul, heart, and body, the fear of the Lord, or the fear of God, and the resentment of stolen innocence. First highlight of the episode is, what does it mean to live a clean life? What it means to live a clean life is living or asserting yourself into avoiding things that are not going to benefit you or they are dirty. Examples of dirty lifestyle is, for an example, sex, explicit songs, substances, and cheap dopamine. These are examples of things that are factors into living a lifestyle that is not clean. What I mean by living a clean life is living a life that you avoid the things that are just gonna make you feel dirty in the inside or have a dirty heart. The thing is, we have to guard our heart with our authority. We have the authority to protect our heart. You can't say someone broke your heart if they don't have access to it. But since that person has access to it, of course you're going to feel like they broke your heart. That same goes for the things that we rely on for peace. We rely on sex for peace. We rely on drugs for peace. We rely on cheap dopamine for peace. We rely on these things that are youthful for peace. And that's where our heart is placed. In these items or these factors that are not clean or pure. These factors are actually dirty, and when we rely ourselves into the dirtiness of what the world can do to engage us to it, we start feeling nasty later on. You're gonna start seeing it build up. You don't see it now, but then if you continue with these unhealthy habits or continue to take or rely on these factors, you're gonna start seeing that your life is gonna build up all of this junk, and then you're gonna want to cleanse it out so later on in life. And it's a process to be cleansed by the grace of God. It takes time to be cleansed by whatever spirit you assert your mind into. We can only live a life that's pure by transforming our mind. Something powerful that we have that can make an impact is our mindset. Our mind can shift. Our mind is what sets us into place. If our mind is relying on what our heart wants, we don't have that mindset that's set into the purity or the cleanliness of the world. In fact, when our mind is so devoted into the junk that we have devoted ourselves into, you're kind of like living in a brain rot, continuing to rely on that. Our mindsets are powerful, and the only way that you can change from living in these passions is by renewing your mind, by developing new habits, by constructing new ways of living. That's how you could be able to get out of all of that, by changing or shifting your mind. Living clean and living pure isn't just, oh, I'm gonna not do this, I'm gonna not do that. No, it's by fearing God. The lack of fearing God makes you jump into the things of the world. Having sex with many girls isn't the peace that is supposed to be given to you. The peace that's supposed to be given to you is from heaven, is from God. But you're relying so much on that because you're already devoted your mind into it. You plant what you see. And you're seeing all of this. You plant what you hear. You plant everything that your five senses get into or grasp into. If you touch something, you start feeling or having that already planted in you. If you start seeing something that you shouldn't be seeing, it's already gonna be sowed in. You gotta watch what you sow. Meaning you gotta make sure that whatever's planted, it is sowed righteously. What I'm saying here, if you don't understand what I'm saying, is there's many things that are planted into our hearts that we get to develop throughout time. And we gotta be careful on how we develop that, because sometimes the things that are planted or the things that we see or hear, they develop us into a bad character. That's why this video is either for someone to stop this lifestyle that is not benefiting them for the well-being, or it's a video for you to acquire or having that desire to want a clean life. The purpose or the meaning of having a clean life is having that desire for a clean life. For example, as I mentioned, the drama, the sex, the substances, that's not the peace that you should be relying on, but the peace from God. And if it's not God, then the universe. But you're relying so much on this to the point that you're living an impure life. And you're relying on your mind to give you the spikes of dopamine so you can be able to just get what you want. The root to pure life is fearing God. When you fear God, you fear the things from the world. You fear doing anything wrong to God if you truly fear Him. If you fear God, you wouldn't lead a girl to her bed. If you really fear God, you wouldn't lead yourself into temptation. Temptation is going to happen. We're always going to be tempted. But here's the thing though. We got to resist the temptation. We got to act or be renewed by the mind to where we actually sustain from that. And this is where I want to talk about the sexual immorality part from purity. Because as much as I want to talk about having a clean lifestyle, like no secular music and all of that, let's focus on sexual immorality. Since our generation has normalized sexual immorality, I really want to talk about this and spread awareness over it, because it is not normal for someone young to be doing all of these things that are leading them to unhealthy soul ties. Having these connections that your body is right. Sexual interactions with somebody is dangerous, and you have to know who the heck is receiving the part of you. I can talk about this because I've experienced it and I felt a lot of guiltness. And I want to talk about my story so y'all could actually relate to it. Okay? It wasn't, I don't want to say too much, but when the interactions I had that were sexual, I would feel nasty and guilty. And not just all of those emotions that are unraveled in that aspect, but also how I mistreated myself. I'm young. My body is the temple of God. I had to respect it. My body is not mine. My body's from the universe. My body is not mine. But I didn't treat it right. And I gave it to somebody that was not gonna be the one to take care of it. And so just thinking about that, I'm young. Why the heck am I doing all of this? What benefit did I get? Nothing. In fact, I just have that part of me stolen. And that's what kind of gets me. And I always think about it. I'm like, how are some people actually okay living impure lives? Someone can look pure and innocent, but in their heart is full of filthiness and dirtiness from the world. Like I said, like drama, sex, substances. It's from the heart. Because everything that's produced or projected comes from the heart, comes from the mind, comes from the body. And this is where I also want to talk about having the self-respect, having that dominion over your body. You can choose what you want to do for your body. But as I mentioned, when fearing the Lord, you know how to use your body correctly, how to present yourself correctly, how to use it according to His will, knowing how to take care of it. Most of us are not taking care of our bodies physically. For an example, we're eating very nasty foods from the world. Y'all know what I'm saying. The junk food. Is that really nourishing or fulfilling into your body? Not really. That's why a lot of people have focused on the idea of eating clean foods to have better health. Of course, basic knowledge. That's basic. That's obvious for sure. But you see where whenever you have a clean mind, clean body, clean soul, you start seeing your life is clean. Not just clean from sex, but clean from what you listen to. The songs that you listen to. The influences you listen to. The things you see. The things you eat. The things you smell. There's some things that you shouldn't be smelling, but you be smelling them either way. And I'm not trying to make it weird or anything, but there's some things that we shouldn't even take a touch on or grab on. The thing is, we're so aware of our conscious world that we do it because we want to feel that spike of dopamine. We want to feel the enlightenment of the world, and we're only feeling that because we are bored. You wouldn't say that you're bored if you're fulfilling your potential. Living a clean life is a process, but that's what's important. Living in a life that nobody can touch you, because when you're pure, nobody can touch you. You have that mindset of blocking the things that can enter to you. You have that mindset. Basically, purity is kind of like a mindset. Because you have to assert your mind into your core values. When you don't assert your mind into your core values, are you really validating yourself if you aren't? You gotta validate yourself. That's what purity is. Respecting yourself, respecting your body, respecting your mind, respecting your soul. But we're forsaking it. And that's crazy because God never did that to you. But we're doing it to ourselves. Ourselves? That's crazy. Who else is to blame? Not the other person, but you. You're doing that to yourself. And sometimes you feel guilty. Sometimes it feels like addiction. Sometimes it's like a constant need. But that's where fearing the Lord helps you guide yourself or swerve through the decisions that you're making in life. And talking about the addiction part, it is so hard to break something that you have been adjusted to. Some of us have been already adjusted to that idea. But as I mentioned in the beginning, it all happens by the transformation of your mind, the renewal of your mind. I kind of went in this little rant or this part of section over 3 concepts. I already went with mind, body, soul, and then the importance and the morals. I kind of mixed it all up in the first context. That's crazy because sometimes I have to split it like that so I could be able to spread out the message. But dang, it went through. That's crazy. Anything that's honorable should be pure. Examples of living a clean life. For an example, having a clean diet, having clean music taste. Okay, some of y'all have nasty music taste. And it's not even cute. It's so disgusting and disturbing listening to some lyrics that y'all been listening to. Not just that, I look at the most prettiest girls, the most handsome guys, and then you listen to their playlist and it's so disgusting. You're like, what the heck are you listening to? You don't even look like that. And not just that, whenever I see that, I have such discernment. And I'm not trying to say like I'm kind of weird. Actually, I shouldn't even have said that part. But it's like whenever let me just say this, okay? When I see somebody post themselves with like a song that is like not even related or close to what they say that they want to be, I just look at them, or I just look at the photos or story or whatever, and I'm just like, okay. And I just think about their lineage or their history. I'm like a psychoanalytic. I'm like a psychologist. I just look at them and I'm like trying to analyze everything, and I analyze the person, and then I ask them questions sometimes. I'm like, oh, like how do you get here? How do you, like not even just straight up, but like I try to scale myself up into where the questions get serious. And sometimes sometimes they don't even start overthinking it, but they just start thinking, and I'm just like, that's what I thought. Because most of that are linked into something, and I always try to like tell them or guide them like, hey, where is this? Where's the root? I always try to find the root of things. And when I see that, I'm just like, oh. So sometimes I get a little bit curious, or I get a little bit into my little psychologist mode, but I analyze them and I'm just like, oh. And that's where discernment comes, because I'm like, this is nothing like you. Whatever you project comes from the inside. And I see a lot of people projecting this ghetto self, this persona that is not even acquired or close to their full potential. It just makes me question, what type of trauma have you gone through to the point that you drive yourself into relying on these pleasures for you to be able to produce or project this character? And you're proud of it too? And I always think about that when I hear or see these people listening to this type of music taste, listening or living a life like this. And not just that, they're being partial whenever, I really want to talk about this. We need to stop being partial. We need to stop having morals that are part of heaven and part of the world. Here's the thing, we can't be partial under the authority or reign of God. We can't. We can't be partial under our beliefs or morals of ourselves. In other words, you can't have different morals from what you believe to what you do. You're doing what you're not following. You're following such belief, but you're not doing what it's telling you to do. You have such intuition, but you're doing the way opposite of it. That's not how it works. You can't be partial. You can't be like, yes, I love God, I fear him, but then do the way opposite. Wanting to feel the world. You can't love two things. You can only love one. And this is like the one saying that a lot of people throw off whenever they see or catch their partner cheating. They're like, if you truly love the person, you wouldn't choose the second one. Duh, of course. So if you really do love the morals that you're following, there shouldn't be a second moral that you're doing. There shouldn't be. And if you're doing the second moral that you're not supposed to do, then are you truly following the belief that you set yourself or mind to do? No, you're not. You're not following that belief. You're not following that. In fact, this is just a delusion in your head. This is just for you to not feel guilty over the things that you do. That's not how it works. Do what's right. Do what's good for you. And if that feels good, it's going to feel good temporary. Because why? Because that sort of, that factor that you're relying on for peace is going to come out. It's going to get out. It's going to be removed. Whenever you're getting cleansed or whenever you're feeling that purity in your life coming in, there's a lot of things that are going to be removed. And you're going to start realizing those things that are removed were never meant to stay there. The things that were removed were supposed to leave. That's why the saying is, if it's meant for you, it's gonna stay. If it's meant for you, it wouldn't leave. And those things are leaving because you set your mind into the things that were never meant to be yours. Those passions were not yours. Those passions belong to the world. They don't belong to your morals. They don't belong to your belief. So why are we following the contradictions of what we are starting our mind into? You gotta have that self-respect. If it's not fearing the Lord, then it's fearing you. You got to fear yourself. The only enemy that you have that's holding you down is you. Because as much as we talk about how the world is influential and it influences our generation, you're the one that has the authority to see or check where are you gonna go. That's called your flesh. We have the battle between our flesh as well. We're always going to have the worldliness in us, even if we're rescued, even if we're clean, or even if we're cleansed, or even if we have nothing that's holding our identity back. We're always going to have the dirtiness and the filthiness. But the only way we cover it is with real peace. And real peace is found on the things that are given to you by the world, not done for you from the world. The things that are given to you from the world is, for an example, nature. You can go on nature walks and start earth grounding. You can start journaling. Having journal prompts or self-reflecting is a good way for you to cleanse your life. Another part is meditation. You could start praying. You could start listening. I don't know what other people do to meditate. The only way I know how to meditate is praying. But any source of meditation that you do that. It's gonna help you analyze yourself. And if you're neglecting that, you're gonna start seeing that you drove yourself into a state of addiction. And I can't really talk about the state of addiction because I never really gone into that. Now, I have been addicted to food, in which food also God could take away from me any second by now. But I can't really talk about that state yet. But what I'm telling you is, you gotta stand firm to what you believe. If you're not standing firm, it's because you have two morals that you're following that you're not supposed to. I feel like I have gotten mostly everything out, but I also want to talk about this last one, in which I do want to bring awareness to this. And this is for my audience that has or have been sexually assaulted. And I do want to take I do want to take part on this section of the video to just have that sense of mindfulness for them, and having to talk to y'all also about how you're not alone in this, as much as I'm talking about how you're choosing this and how we're living in a generation that's broken and we have normalized having sex at a young age, how we normalize all of this, some people don't even choose this. Some people don't even consent to this, and their innocence are stolen from this. And I don't know how it feels to be in that spot, because it never happened to me, but listening to people's story about it makes me hurt. Makes me feel really bad, because I was a victim of abuse. Not a victim of sexual assault or abuse, but I have been a victim of abuse. And whenever you're abused, it feels so weird. It feels so, I don't know how to explain the feeling, but you feel so lost. You feel like your life is unjust. You feel like the other person needs to get the revenge. But this is where you have to play your emotions right. Your emotions are what produces the flow on how your life goes. So if this situation really hurts you, the only right way for you to react is by centering yourself into peace. And what I mean is knowing that if you respond right, there's going to be a flow of abundance because of how you react to it. Some people go crazy. Some people go cuckoos. But whatever it is, seek help. Seek the help that you need. Seek what you really want to feel. What I'm encouraging you is not to take the route that is going to lead you to fallingness, but to lead yourself into the route of being the best individual that you can be. It's hard. It's going to be a process, and you feel unclean. You feel impure, and you want to feel certain and just clean in that area. But I know how it's just nasty and dirty, and it's already in your heart. But what I'm telling you is there's hope that it's going to happen. You're going to start feeling clean. You're going to start feeling the peace that you deserve, because nobody deserves to be treated or abused. But you're getting cleaned by God, by the universe. You're getting called to that cleanness of life. Just because someone did that to you doesn't mean you're going to rely on others for it. Yes, it's trauma. Yes, it's already rooted. But if you're really committed into or having that desire to live a pure life, then you construct it. You're always going to have that with you. You're always going to have the unjust feeling. You're going to always feel that you're always dirty. You're going to start feeling disgusted. But this is where you are getting tested in your life, because nothing is given to you if you can't handle it. But it was given to you because you can handle it. So this situation is for you to testify that you survived the weakness of your life, that you survived the things that were attacking you in your life. Use it to testify to others. Use it maybe for a business idea. Use it so you can help others. Use it. Don't let it block you. Don't let this become the next foggy dream. Allow this to be the breakthrough to a new way of living. Just because that happened doesn't give you an excuse to do it to others. It doesn't give you an excuse to rely on the things that are going to hurt you. Because what I'm doing here with my platform is to help others becoming the best individuals with the shift the mindset. And yes, it's going to be hard renewing your mind, relying on things that are not just worldly, but on things that are going to help you heal. It's going to be hard. But I want to send that hope to you. There's hope for the future. I know how it kind of feels to feel disgusted with having to do impure things. Your innocence is stolen. I felt that nastiness and disgustingness because I had no knowledge of God. That's another thing, that when you have no knowledge of God, you either feel like you need more, or you feel like you want or have that desire to have a pure life. I had the desire. This video is for the people that have the desire to live clean lives. How can you live a clean life? Renewing your mind, fearing God, and applying principles that are going to help you succeed. For an example, as I mentioned, throughout this whole video, I'm saying too much as I mentioned, but listening to music that is not explicit, listening to podcast episodes, getting closer to God, journaling, meditating, reading, all of the healthy habits that are going to help you just renew your mind and lifestyle. I didn't really want to make this podcast episode so dedicated into God, but I feel like that's the only thing that could help you get cleansed, because I lived such a clean life, starting my mind and faith into a certain higher power. But whatever you believe in, the higher power, assert your mind into it, and I'm gonna tell you, it works. I've seen people that are meditating with the universe or with the world, and it works with them too. But having the strong dominion, stronghold with God is way better than any of those other beliefs. But that's just me saying this. Anyways, guys, thank you for listening to today's podcast episode. I am so beyond excited for you to watch this video, listen to it. I'm sending so much love to the people that have dealt with their innocence stolen, but as well to the people that have that desire to live a clean, pure life. Anyways, guys, thank you for listening to this podcast episode here on Spotify and Apple Podcast. And if you're watching here on YouTube, make sure you give it a like, subscribe, and following back with what I said about the podcast episode on Apple. Make sure you rate my podcast episodes. I'm trying to upload every week, and I'm so beyond excited for upcoming projects. Anyways, guys, stay tuned. Bye, guys.